Our first lesson was kind of realising what we wanted to do in the future. When we were young, we had the fun travelling and seeing all these cool places, around the world and Australia. But I got sick of being away, and that's really what started the thought of Mac Marine. That was probably our first challenge was, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this work? Christian was living up in Brisbane at the time and loved his job, worked for a big shipyard up in Brisbane, got a good opportunity up there. And we were just chatting one day and I said to him, mate, we've got so many boats that we're looking after on the side of our real gigs. What can we do for us? And then that's where Mac Marine Group came about. And that was a big challenge. We had 20 grand to our name at that time. So we bought a shitty old van and filled it full of washdown gear and off we went.
You're listening to the Rising Tidecast, the podcast for sharing the stories, the lessons, and all the good stuff from legends in the marine industry. Welcome to Rising Tide Podcast. Today, lucky to have Todd in the studio with us. Todd, I've known Todd for a few years. Todd owns Mac Marine with his brother Christian. They do some amazing work based out of Newport, New South Wales. One of the many things you do is the finest paintwork I've definitely ever seen. And I'm having you on because I think every time we chat, it's awesome to hear your perspective. You've got a really great driven mindset. You're pretty funny, I got to tell you. You probably took out the best blooper reel for last year.
I think that was in the editing, Steve.
Yeah. And yeah, it's always good when we have a chat and stuff. So I think it's awesome. More people need to hear stories about people in this industry. And you've got a really cool journey. So I'd love to take people on yours with you.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Stoked to be here.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let's start, I guess, with where it all started for you. So what drew you to, I guess, the water or this industry from way back when?
I mean, we kind of grew up on the water. Myself and my brother, who's also my business partner, we grew up in Seaforth on the northern beaches until I was 8 or so, and Christian was about 14. He's a little bit older than me, and my dad is a sailor. Both my grandfathers were sailors. We were in Sabos and Manly Juniors and flying 11s out of Manly 16-foot skiff club when we were kids. And then mum and dad wanted a sea change and we moved up to Yamba. When I was 8, Christian was a little bit older, and mum and dad had a dream of buying a bit of property up there. And so they bought 100 acres on the river at Yamba, which is on the far north coast of New South Wales. And we had the best childhood growing up there and always on the water. Any opportunity we had, we were in the tinny fishing. And, before school, we had a little Quintrex that would jump in the tinny and shoot around the Clarence River and out through the bar, no matter how big it was, and anchor the little tinny out the front of the surf and surf for an hour before school with a few mates and come back and jump on the motorbike, go to school. And that's kind of really what started our journey. Yeah, it was being on the Clarence River in Yamba. And we got a little bit older. Christian moved out kind of as I started high school, and he moved overseas and worked for the Packer family for a long time. He got a great opportunity with those guys and he learnt from the best and spent heaps of time in Europe and America, and that was in those days. It was before Facebook was around, and we used to have MySpace, so I'd occasionally get the old DM from Christian on MySpace saying, have a look at these photos and what I'm doing over here. And that's kind of where it all started. I was like, that's exactly what I want to be doing. And it was kind of natural to both of us, I think.
That's awesome. What a good way to grow up in Yamba. Just taking me back to that time, like having your own tinny to go and have that
awesome.
Freedom.
Yeah.
What do you think was special about that to you and Christian growing up that I guess connected you to the ocean that way?
Just the freedom, I think. No mobile phones. It was epic. All of our best memories as kids was on the river or surfing, and it was. We spent a lot of time missing the school bus because we were stuck in the surf, and we just grew up on the water. That's exactly what our old man did, and he kind of drilled it into us. And between being on the water and playing rugby, and we always had a busy schedule, and not many opportunities arise. Living in a small little coastal town like Yamba for the marine industry, and we always knew what we wanted to do, and that's really what drew us to Sydney.
When you moved to Sydney, what was it about Sydney that drew you guys to get out of Yamba?
The opportunity, I think. We really appreciated everything that was put in front of us. And, we'd go to sea for free. We just frothed on being offshore. And when we got a little bit older and got decent paying jobs and start at the bottom. And I worked on a lot of smaller boats. Christian went and did the super yacht scene. But I found, working on the smaller boats, it wasn't you're just a deckhand or you're just a skipper. You're everything in between. You're the stewardess, the engineer, the decky, the skipper, relief skipper. We kind of did it all, and I learned a lot from that. And I just think those opportunities, if you want to get into the industry, Sydney's where it's happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's thinking about? I mean, it sounds like you've had a ton of cool experience and cool jobs.
Yeah.
What do you reckon the coolest job that you've had is?
Oh, mate, there's so many good stories. Funny story, when I was still in high school, I actually used to come down to work experience for Shorty, to the boys down there at Short Marine when he first took over the slipway. So all of my school holidays I'd be flying down and crashing at Christian's house and working for Shorty, which was pretty fun. I was 16, 17 and hanging out with those boys and seeing what they got up to on the weekends. And it's just a big family, and
It's a quick way to grow up.
For sure. And then, obviously from there I got good opportunities. I worked for a really good local Sydney family, and the old man, he was the CEO of a big company. So we ran a lot of corporate events on the boat. We were out 6-7 days a week. We were a busy boat. And we'd spend, winter in the Whitsundays and Sydney on, summer in Sydney Harbour. It was awesome. I got some great memories working for that family, and they're very close friends. We actually just handed over their boat today. We just sold it for them. So, and that was, I was working for them 12 years ago.
How good.
So, great relationship, and looking forward to the future with those guys.
I think that's something that's really cool about this industry, right? Especially in Australia being, such a more connected, smaller place, especially in the marine industry. But how things come around full circle.
100%.
And it's so much about your network and the people and the experience that you leave, that you give to people, but the taste that you leave them with. I think that's really, really cool. And
absolutely.
How do you think that, I guess, affects and has influenced your business over the years?
Yeah, well, becoming mates with Shorty and guys like Cooper Chapman, and they're all of our best mates now. We've got a really good bunch of guys around us that are also in business. I feel like we all motivate each other. And then, obviously, do the best quality work that you can, and opportunities come about. And that's kind of exactly what we've done. Yeah. And it works for us.
Yeah,
so.
100%. What's I think sometimes a cool perspective is taking that 1,000-foot view, that bird's eye view of your life, and those key moments that really stand out to you on the journey so far. Like, if you had to pick one or two, what would they be? And they could be challenges, successes, kind of lessons learned. What is it that stands out to you?
Our first lesson was kind of realizing what we wanted to do in the future. When we were young, we had the fun traveling and seeing all these cool places, around the world and Australia. But I got sick of being away, and that's really what started the thought of Mac Marine. That was probably our first challenge, was, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this work? Christian was living up in Brisbane at the time and loved his job, worked for a big shipyard up in Brisbane, got a good opportunity up there. And we were just chatting one day, and I said to him, mate, we've got so many boats that we're looking after on the side of our real gigs. What can we do for us? And then that's where Mac Marine Group came about, and that was a big challenge. We had 20 grand to our name at that time. So we bought a shitty old van and filled it full of washdown gear, and off we went. And both of our bosses were on board with us. And my boss at the time said, no worries, mate, go and do it. I think it's great. As long as you answer the phone when I call you, and when I need you, you come. And that's exactly what I did. I was loyal to him. I was open and transparent, and I had a lot of respect for him. I was never going to let him down. And then, our team grew from there. But that was a big challenge, starting a business from the ground up, 20 grand to our name. We bought a shitty van and some washdown gear and put together a crappy website at the beginning. But knowing what I know now, and I probably would have invested a little bit more money into some digital marketing and videography and whatnot, because that's been a game changer for us.
Awesome. It sounds to me like there's one trait that sticks out about that journey, or that part, and the drive that you guys have to make that work, from kind of putting your foot in the sand and saying, like, this is what we're going to do. We need a bit of a change. And then to make it happen while you're working somewhere else, like that's just hard work through and through. And
opportunities, like doing good quality work and other people seeing that, and then trusting you when you're a small business and you're starting out, having the trust of others, which was, we had a very loyal client base, which was great for us in the beginning. And then you never know what's around the corner. We got a great opportunity 6 or 7 years ago now from the Rao family, David and Laura Rao up in Pittwater, who own the facility that we lease. That came out of the blue, and we grabbed it with both hands and ran with it. And we just made it work. That's what you do in business.
100%. And now, I mean, look at you guys. The client list that you have is incredibly impressive too.
Yeah.
Going on that journey, was there anything else that stood out to you that made you say, let's do something for ourselves? Like, what was that catalyst for you? What were you doing, or what was happening in your life that you wanted to make a change? Because sometimes I think it takes something like big or something, a realization for us to start on a path that we really want to be on in life.
Yeah.
What was it?
We saw a bit of a gap in the market, really, and that's kind of what sparked the conversation of starting a business. We initially started out as a vessel management company. We saw a bit of a gap in the market from that kind of 60 to 120 feet mark, where you need, owners need crew, or they need people to look after the boat, but they don't need them full time. So we started off, myself and Christian, and a couple of months later we had another guy join, and then all of a sudden we had 6 guys working for us, and we had 23 boats that we were managing full time. And we knew that we wanted to do something for ourselves and also our clients. We've got that super yacht background, and we really wanted to offer that super yacht level of service and standard to the smaller boat owner. They're a big asset that these guys are buying, and you've got to maintain them to the highest standard. So we took it and we ran with it, and it worked for us.
What was that along that journey from starting with 20,000 in a shitty van to now? What's like a lesson learned within that really stands out to you?
Bite off more than you can chew and don't stop chewing. No, I mean, just good quality work.
Yeah.
Quality work, back yourself, be honest and transparent. And that's what we did. And I mean, it works for us, and we still operate the same way today, even though we've got, 16, 17 guys working for us. We drill that into our guys, and we've got some of the best guys in the industry working for us. You can only build a company, as big as you can, but you need the guys that have got that same passion as you do. And, we don't micromanage them. We got some awesome managers down there in Ryan and Scotty, and they do such a good job with their team under them. And it's, we couldn't do what we do without our guys. So it's, it's not just about building the business, but it's nurturing the younger guys coming through and making sure they've got some good quality people around them to, to learn from.
Oh man.
Exactly how we did.
People are everything for sure. Like, the amount you can do, especially the way that I think you guys have built a culture, is very cool. And how you put that trust in them.
Well, I mean, you spend all of your days at work. I spend more time at work with the boys than I do with my wife and kids at home. You've just got to have a good, fun vibe. Spraying anti-foul and grinding prop speed's not fun, especially when you do it every day. So, you've just got to make it as fun as you can be. And
Well, I think to that point, there's probably a lot of 20-somethings getting out of trade school or looking to join, the marine industry in some capacity, or even are in it now and want to advance their careers. What's one thing you think that you could give 20-year-old Todd some advice for, or someone else, I think, in that position as well? Like, what's something that would be really helpful for someone to get to the next stage or find the career within that industry that they love?
Yeah, one thing that stuck with me when I was in school was, I remember one day looking out the window and my teacher slammed a book in front of me and said, "No one's going to pay you to look out the window. Crack on." So I wonder how I can get paid to look out of a window. And so that was year 10, year 11 and 12. We got the opportunity to do our coxswain's ticket as a school subject, which was pretty cool. So, I came out of high school kind of knowing what I wanted to do, and so I'm going to show that teacher. So got in the marine industry and worked my way up. Surely there's some hard days, but eventually I got paid to look out of a window steering a boat. But I think for the young players in the game that want to get involved is find good quality companies and learn from the best. Everybody in this industry is more than happy to help, especially if you're keen and passionate about boating and being on the water. And we've got a bunch of good young guys that grew up on the water and didn't really know their way, and slogged away on the hard stand. And we had one young guy that's been working for us for a couple of years on the hard stand, and we knew that he wanted to get into the super yacht industry, and we said, "Okay, come and work for us. We've been there, we've done that. We know what it takes to make your resume look attractive when you go overseas. Come and work for us, and you'll learn how to paint, you'll learn how to grind rust, you'll learn the ins and outs to get you on a good boat." And, we hooked him up with a few connections overseas, and he's, that was 3 years ago. He's still over there now. And just working for good quality people that care about you and, don't be shy to ask questions. We love it when the boys come up and ask us questions and how can they progress. And there's so many different pathways,
I think
in
it's
the
so
industry.
important. It shows you care when you're asking
sure.
questions, and that's what you need. I think another probably big part of that is actually caring about what you're doing.
100%.
Because then you're going to want to be better. You're going to actually attract great employers that see that in you, because that's a huge quality. Skills can be taught, right?
For sure. And, never be too proud.
Yeah.
You can have a hard day's work and think, oh, this is tough work, but you crack on, get the job done, and it's noticed, and I think people like ourselves and other business owners, they know a lot of people. It's all about your network. And, if you do the right thing by your employer and you have a crack and go your hardest, you'll go a long way.
What do you think? I mean, you guys do a lot at Mac Marine.
We do. We do.
What do you think is something that people misunderstand about what you actually do?
It's a tough question. I mean, we're so diverse. We very rarely say no to a job. It's always worth picking up the phone and at the very least we'll give you advice on who to use or what to do. But I think we're known, predominantly as a boatyard. I feel like we're doing, the best quality work around here. But it's not just the slip, clean, anti-fouls, hull polishes that we do. The other sector to our company is paint jobs and resprays, as you know, and we take a lot of pride in that, and we invest heavily into paint tinting machines, and we can make all of our own paint on site, which saves clients time and money out of the, while the boats are out of the water on the hard stand. And, it's getting harder and harder to find facilities that allow you to paint. And I think, that's one thing that surprises a lot of people, the quality of the paint jobs that we're pulling out of a small little boatyard in Pittwater. And then, more recently is the brokerage side of things, which is going really well for us.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
What, I think one of the big key learnings too, both personally and professionally is, over your career, I'm sure you've had a lot of ups and downs, right?
For sure.
What's one of the biggest, I guess, failures or mistakes or something that you've had in your journey so far? And then what was it that you learned from it, or how did you become better and overcome it?
I think, when I was a bit younger and new to running a business, it was just trying to rush things. I think it's slow down and take things for what they are, and don't get emotional. It's business sometimes, and having procedures in place, I think, and you're always going to be building your procedures. We still do to this day. But, I mean, mentors are also another big thing. It's one thing I did have. Obviously, my brother was a big mentor to me, and guys like Shorty and the boys that are now all good mates. I think we all kind of bounced ideas off each other, and we still do. And, find yourself a good mentor that trusts in you. And, that's one thing. Probably.
100%.
Yeah.
I think like anything, right? You're not going to reach your full potential without a coach or someone that's behind
someone
you.
you can just talk to.
Yeah.
Have an open conversation, not be judged.
Yeah.
And it is hard to find those kind of people, but once you do, they're worth their weight in gold. So that's probably one thing that I kind of wish that I had when I was kind of starting out. So
Christian, your brother would be one of your mentors. Do you have another one as well?
I mean, everybody at our facility, a lot of the older players like David Rowell, he's a big mentor, not just to us, but the whole facility. He drives so much work to the place. And there's plenty of people around, not even in the marine sector as well. I've got other guys that have been in business that are good family friends, and, they've made it. It's always good bouncing ideas off those guys. And, when you do have a challenge in front, talking to those people about which direction to take to fix the problem or fix the challenge. I'm a big believer in, if there's a problem, there's a solution. It's one thing we say to the boys at work: don't come to me with a problem without a solution. There's always a solution. Yeah. So
that's awesome. What's you spend a lot of time on the water.
Yeah.
I know you've done a ton of races. You're big into your sailing. Do you have a favorite story that stands out to you about being on the water?
Oh, mate, I got so many. so many.
You might.
Yeah. I mean, personally, obviously growing up on the Clarence River, that was epic. That's kind of where it all began, and surfing and mucking around on the water. But then, on the earlier years of my career is going up the Whit Sundays and working for that awesome family that I used to work for. And they gave us so much time off and got so many good memories of hanging out on Hamilton Island and just running a mark up there when I was younger. And some of those guys are still my best mates today. And then probably more recently, or it's a few years ago now, it's probably 6 years ago now, I delivered a boat down to Tasmania. And I got the boat down there. We got absolutely smashed going across Bass Strait, and chatting to my old man the whole way down. Dad's done 8 or 9 Hobarts. My grandfather did 25 Hobarts. So it was always a big goal to get down there. It was on a motorboat, big powerboat. But we got down to Tassie and did our owner's trip. It was awesome, cruised Tasmania. And then the opportunity came up to bring the boat back home, and I needed crew. So, we paid a few other guys, and I called my old man and said, Dad, come down, I got your flight sorted. Come on the trip back. You're always raving to us about Sydney to Hobart. So I'd love to do a trip back with you. And yeah, that was a pretty special memory doing that with my old man.
That's amazing.
We had a glass out the whole way home, which was unheard of.
How good.
And yeah, it was epic. We're having a barbecue midway through Bass Strait on the flybridge. It was awesome. So yeah, that was a great memory for me, doing that trip with my old man.
What makes that special, like that time? So time at sea, like I think growing up on the water like you, especially with my dad going out fishing and stuff all the time, like you look forward to that time so much. And I think as you grow and you get older and everyone does their own thing, right? There's less of those opportunities sometimes. For sure. But then to be able to do that and I guess reconnect and connect those dots with something that you guys both shared, like what was it about that trip at that time that made it just so special for you?
Well, it was before Starlink, so you could just totally switch off.
It's a big key.
No Wi-Fi, but no, just hearing my old man's stories from when we were growing up, and stories about our pop who'd, he'd done 18 Hobarts or whatever he'd done, and they're both so salty. And it was just epic doing that trip, and Dad going, this is where we're about here, and we got absolutely smoked, and we hit a hailstorm, and we used to have frying pan lids duct taped to our heads, and we had rugby jerseys on with shitty old wet weather gear, and you guys are so spoilt these days with your brand new Musto gear and your sea boots. I was like, yeah, righto, Dad. And it was awesome to see Dad kind of reliving his memories of all those Hobarts. And fortunately enough, last year, 2023 Hobart, I got to do that. That was my first Hobart race, and I got to do it with Christian, my brother. So yeah, that was pretty epic.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Oh, sharing those moments, and especially the water and those trips, being able to be a vehicle for our reconnecting.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So, you get offshore and you can just fully switch off. You forget about your dramas at home or what's going on in business. And myself and Christian are lucky. We've done a lot of miles offshore together. And, when I was running the boat up and down to the Whitsundays, Christian would always jump on, and we had an absolute ball, had a hell time. It was epic.
Well, on that Sydney to Hobart race, like, I mean, I believe it's the race that stops the nation, right? So what is it about it from your perspective, being on a boat, having that history of that being in your family and doing it with your brother? What is it in your eyes that makes it so epic apart from like just watching it on TV?
It's just the bucket list, it tick the box, and everybody says once you do one, you'll keep coming back. And it's true. Like, I'm already looking forward to this year. We'll definitely go again, but one of those things, I sailed on a great boat with a great bunch of guys. We're on the Bumblebee, which is it's an older boat. It won it back in 2001, and it's a Murray Burns DeVille built by Sydney Yachts in on the south coast, a 62-footer, and we had 18 of our best mates on board. It was on the nose the whole way. We saw 45, 50 knots, and it was shithouse. Like, a lot of the trip was punishing, but it was having a laugh with your mates on the rail, and then when you got to Tassie and you can turn one on for a night, it was epic. We actually missed our flight on the way home, and
that doesn't surprise me at all.
We had Kaz calling us going, "Boys, are you missing your flight?" Like, can you change our flight, Kaz? We booked flexi fares for a reason. But no, it was epic. And then catching up with all of your other mates in the industry as well down there. One of my good mates is, I see him once or twice a year because he's overseas sailing, and just catching up with those boys. It was awesome, swapping stories and talking a bit of shit.
So good. Like, there's not many places or I guess industries where a absolute garbage shit day on the water could be the absolute best day of your whole kind of time on the water.
Yeah. Like,
it's special.
You see why guys go back. Yeah. And some of these guys, if you're good enough, you get paid to do it.
Yeah.
So
that's in the cards, isn't it?
Yeah.
You practice enough.
Past those days, but I got paid to take powerboats up and down the coast. But I'd say it's a passion. It's my way of switching off.
Yeah. I think one thing that's really interesting for people that probably don't have that experience or thinking that it's a possibility, like working for the Packer family. That would have been really amazing.
Yeah.
Like just from an outside perspective, it sounds like something that's super unique. What was it like for you back then? I guess, just starting out in the industry, but being able to work at with such a high like profile.
They also gave me an opportunity. I remember being 16, 17 and jumping on the boat. They had I think it was a 105 Leopard or something, which is, a big boat back then. And Christian called me up and said, come down, jump on the boat. Let's do the delivery. It's coming in from the ship from Italy and it's going to Newcastle. Jump on and we'll do the trip down. And then I ended up staying with those guys for pretty much all of my school holidays. And I think what Christian took from it was just learning from the best how to do things properly. And then Christian obviously passed that on to me. But then, I've worked on a lot of different boats on the harbour, bigger boats. And, it's unbeatable just learning from the best guys.
It's a super, I think, very an earned thing. Like you got to be selected to be able to do that. Yeah. But a lot of privilege I think comes with that. It sets you up for whatever you want to do.
For sure. Right? And I mean, most boats are run pretty similar, but just to a different level and different standard. It's just, finding the right captains and finding the right boats and the right owners that are going to take you where you want to go.
Yeah. What is it that motivates you to do, to keep building the business that you are? What's underlying?
I mean, we're pretty happy where we are now. It's been a hard slog. So we moved into the boatyard. We started our business 8 years ago. We've been in the boatyard that we're at now for 6. What motivates us? I don't know. Short-term goals, coming into work on a Monday and looking at the calendar and being like, holy shit, how are we going to get through this? And but long-term, I mean, building a brand, and doing it with my brother, it's pretty epic. And, being able to, it gives us plenty of opportunities, it's given us a great opportunity to support my family and do our thing. But, I mean, we're in a real sweet spot with our company now. We've worked so hard and we started our business off 20 grand and that's something I'm pretty proud of. And we built it to what it is today and we got the best team around. And I mean, just our next chapter is just building the brokerage. Yeah. And that's our next goal for us. And Joel Butler, he's been helping us a lot with marketing with yourself. And that's exciting. It's motivating to kind of set out a proper marketing. This is probably the first time we've actually had a proper marketing plan in place for 12 months, 24 months, and actually executing those little goals that we set ourselves. And it's insane. We're selling these new Scimitar power catamarans built up in Brisbane. And, when we took that brand on, there wasn't a whole lot of marketing around them. And that's an older company that's been bought by a young guy, Tommy Erickson, up in Brisbane. He's an absolutely amazing. Like, he's so professional at what he does. He's got a whole team of, in-house naval architects, and they do everything in-house. And, he bought Scimitar power catamarans in 2018, and they haven't really gone back into production. Tommy's made all these little tweaks, and he thinks building boats, it's not marketing, and marketing is not our strong point. But then, getting guys like Joel and yourself that have come in, and Joel's really set out. We've given Joel the brief on where we want to be in 12 months and what we need to do. And, just hitting those little milestones and seeing the inquiries come in. And we've just sold one this week, and, just the baby steps to just getting that whole side of our business growing. That's kind of the motivation at the minute.
It's amazing, to be able to, I think, build your brand to where it's at without much marketing before then. Yeah. Based on reputation. But then, I think sometimes we hit a plateau. For sure. Right? Like, you're well known within the circle that you are well known in. Yeah. And then marketing is a fantastic way to obviously expand that circle and to have a plan. Like, I mean,
it's invaluable.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. And anyone that's not doing it, get in contact with guys like yourselves and Joel and push it. I mean, it's hard to see your return on investment, but when the leads are coming through and you're selling boats, it's invaluable. Yeah,
I think sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow at the beginning. Yeah. Because it's like, well, it's not something we've done before and we're not sure what this is going to look like. Yeah. But I think the reality is, the results speak for themselves. For sure. If you do it consistently over a longer period of time.
And if you're starting a business and you've got the budget, do it from the beginning.
Yeah. And building the brand, is one thing to market, I think, for certain products and a direct sale, but it's another thing to market to build your brand. Yeah. And I think to do that well and to have faith and put money towards that and budget towards that is a big decision for you guys. And for sure. I think it's definitely, I mean, from an outside perspective, it looks awesome. You guys are great at what you do. Yeah. What do you think, I guess, so we've created a bunch of videos throughout the last few years. What's been that the impact of that for you guys as far as building the brand goes, telling your story and stuff?
I mean, we suck at telling our story, and I hate getting in front of the camera and
Thanks for doing this.
pumping air, pumping our own tires. Like, there's something that we're not good at. We let our work kind of speak for itself. But when we initially engaged you to come into our brand story, how long did that take us? We were so bad in front of the camera, and you've chopped it up and you've edited it, and we look like bloody, full movie stars. And I mean, that's invaluable, especially for our clients. We now have that brand story on our signatures in our emails, and people really understand who we are and who Mac Marine Group is. We are people behind the brand, and yeah, it's been invaluable.
It's nice to have, I think, pieces of content like that stand the test of time. Like, it's not just a quick churn and burn. We got a new boat, let's photograph it, get it out there. But like, to tell your story and then have that be something that opens up conversations with other people because they connect with you.
They feel like they know you already. Yeah.
And then I think it helps in not just building your network, but also in the whole trusting process with clients.
For sure.
It's something, I wish more people told their story, because like, there are so many fantastic stories out there, and people do just, like, from your point of view, what value do you see in how people now connect with you because of a personal story versus telling the Mac Marine, like, this is our services and this is what we do?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it's been pretty cool for us on the receiving end of comments. It's, guys coming into the boatyard and going, I didn't realize you guys were from Yamba, and, you've done this and you've done that, and I've been thinking about doing this to my boat. What do you, I'd love to pick your brain on things, or I'm going to go cruising the East Coast. Can you help me out? It's not all just about making money. It's about trust and relationships and just, chatting to your clients like a human being, which we all are. And yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things that we've noticed after our brand story. And, it's just trust, really. People know who we are. There's no bullshit.
Yep.
We shoot it straight. And it's, people are open to just having personal conversations with us. And that's, all comes down to that brand story that we did.
Yeah, it's on authenticity, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. So what's some new, changing gears a bit, what's some new technology you're like super stoked about? Because I know you guys, paint wise, some of what you've got on tap is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, we got some great suppliers. Yeah, and we've got like we touched on before with our paint system. We've got a full paint tinting machine. Hate to think what we paid for it, but it's and what it costs us, but it's a good return on investment. And it's so we can essentially, a boat comes out of the water and it's got major repairs through it, and boat owners are great at booking their boat in for a slip clean anti-foul and then remembering they got massive scratches down the side of their boat they haven't told you about until the boat's out of the water and you're looking at it in front of them and with them. But that's not a big deal for us. We've invested heavily in a paint tinting machine. We got a spectrometer, so we can take a color sample of the boat and we can color match it to pretty well perfection. We're doing big metallic blends that you can't even tell that that's a repair, and just the way technology's come leaps and bounds, it's pretty incredible. And then the support we get from our suppliers doing paint training and learning how the other guys do it. Like, there's not many marine painters out there that they've all got an automotive background, and it's taking little tips from those guys and tips and tricks from those guys that we introduce to our business. And yeah, that's been a game changer for us is the paint tinting system. And another one from the marketing side of thing, what Joel set us up with is just some awesome sales tools, like just automations of, when an inquiry comes through, bang, they automatically get what they've asked for. And that saves us a lot of times. We're busy. Our phones don't stop ringing. It's really hard to stop and reply to everybody and make sure you're not missing anything. You've got to be on the ball. And some of these sales tools that Joel's set up for us have just been absolutely game changing for us.
That's awesome. And it's hard, like, we talked about before, to see that investment on it. But I think there's also the benefits that you get internally, right? Just that stress relief.
Just knowing that it's done. Yeah. They've got what they've asked for. You're not letting them down.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Good.
What's having a young family? We both work like crazy. What's work-life balance mean to you? Like, what's
that's
that all
a tricky one. Everyone talks about this work-life balance and work for yourself and you get plenty of time. But I mean, I'm pretty lucky. My wife, she works in the corporate world. She's a busy girl herself. But she's the ultimate mum, she sacrifices a lot for the family and she allows me to do my thing. I make time make time. Myself and Christian bought an old trawler and converted that. So that's, a lot of our time is spent on the water boating. But yeah, you've got to make time. You've got to make time. I'm a big believer in having that 9-week goal, have something to look forward to in 9 weeks time. And that's your time off to switch off and reset.
And how do you guys spend time together, like on the water or outside?
Yeah, on the boat in Pittwater. Yeah. It's so hard to beat. Yeah. We're down at the beach surfing, and my young fella, he's 2 now, and he's just starting to get a heap of attitude, and I love it. It's great. But he tests my wife's nerves. But yeah, we're on Pittwater, and it's rafting up with our clients who are now our friends, and we're seeing all of our mates on the water. It's so hard to beat, and letting the kids run around in the sand, and it's just the best lifestyle. It's hard to beat.
That's really good.
Yeah.
What's one of those things that I guess that like a guiding principle, I guess, in your life? What's something that you come back to, helps you make decisions, or you think is something important you've heard that's helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I don't know. I think myself and Christian are very open with each other. We have the tough conversations and we make plans together, and that's what you got to do when you've got a business partner. But yeah, switching off and resetting and then coming back and just looking at the big picture, being able to step away and work out what's worth worrying about and what's not. That's a big thing for us, and it's hard. Yeah. It's a hard thing, but as you grow older, and I'm sure there's older guys listening to this, and they're probably laughing at us, you young blokes. But yeah, that's one thing that I'm learning is to not sweat the little things, and same thing, problem solution. If there's a problem, there's always a solution. It's not worth stressing about. So.
Well, I think too, having that perspective at a younger age is super helpful and rare. I think we'll all grind and do what we can to build a business, but I guess figuring out your priorities.
For sure. I got a bit of a wake up call when I was younger. I actually had a complete heart failure at 18, and that was a pretty big wake up call for me. Could have gone either way. It was life or death, and that was, that kind of taught me to what's important in life as well. You can get sucked into the black hole of business, but that kind of snaps me out of it really quickly as well. When I remember back to those grim days of laying in hospital going, shit, is this all going to work out? And I do have to remind myself of that sometimes. You're still here and you've got a good opportunity, and don't sweat the little things. That's a big motivator for me as well.
Yeah. What happened? What was it that triggered that?
Growing up in Yamba, there's a lot of cane farms and farmland and what around, and we had a big flood, and I used to love surfing obviously, and there was a day when it was big surf right after the floods, and I just shouldn't have surfed, and paddled out with a few mates. I was probably only in the water for an hour or so, and I just breathed in a bit of chemical, like there was some shit on the top of the water, and I must have just breathed it in, and that virus attacked my heart, and luckily I wasn't in Yamba at the time when I got sick. It hit me about a week later, and it was right at the end of the rugby season. I was super fit. I've packed on probably 10, 15 kilos since then, but I was super fit. I was surfing and playing rugby and boxing and doing all those things that you do when you're young. And, the day that I went surfing till about a week later, I felt I felt like I was putting on weight, and it was actually my organs starting to shut down. And luckily at the time, I was up on the Gold Coast surfing with one of my best mates who essentially saved my life. At the end of the day, I started out with a cough, and then cough turned to coughing up blood, and the cough turned to a spewing up blood, and then all of a sudden I was in hospital, and I kind of came to 2 days later and had all these doctors. I was in isolation. I didn't know what was going on, and they told me I had pneumonia. I was like, oh, sweet, don't bother mum and dad. So, I was just 18, so they didn't have to tell them, and so it's just pneumonia, I'll be right. And then I remember a team of about 10 doctors walked into the hospital room and sat me down. They're like, mate, let's prepare for surgery. I was like, prepare for surgery? What are you talking about? They're like, mate, you've had a full heart failure. I was like, what? I'm 18. I'm fit as a fiddle. That's no way. They said, yeah, well, mate, we don't know what's happened, if it's hereditary or viral or what it is, but yeah, you've got a pretty serious issue. I was like, shit. So my best mate called my parents, and I think that's what happened anyway. And next minute they were all there and they were laughing, carrying on. They just thought I had pneumonia as well. And then told them what was going on, and yeah, it was a pretty big reality check. But wow. I'm lucky. That was a big learning curve for me. I couldn't be here. I may not have been here today if we left it any longer, but yeah, that was a big wake up call for me, and it changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I use that to my benefit today, and I wouldn't change a thing. It made me a way better person, And yeah, I really appreciate everything that's been put in front of us, and what we're doing today, I would really appreciate. And it's,
I was going to say things like that. I mean, that's a massive perspective shifter.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I still live with it today, so it's a good reminder when I'm playing up or whatever and it flares up again, but it's all under control, and it's something that I just deal with.
Oh, I think appreciation of where you are, of life, of what you've done, of the family that you've got now is just, it takes on a whole nother like beast, basically, it's something that's truly a thankful thing. I think
life throws you curveballs, and it's just how you do, how you deal with it. So got to be positive and push on. Now I've got a family, I do it for them.
That's super special.
Let's
go through a few funny rapid fire questions here. I won't let you see them beforehand. All right, hit me with the first thing that pops into your head.
Microphones. And beer.
What's the first song on your playlist when you are in charge and leaving the dock?
Probably some Book of Shade.
Nice. Okay. What's the worst haircut you've ever had?
Oh, when I try and shave through COVID, I tried to shave my head and it was a shocker.
I want a picture of that for the episode. What's the most random thing you found on a boat?
Oh, probably can't say. NDAs, mate.
What's the second most then?
I don't know, bloody stripper poles that go in game chairs and all sorts. I've seen it all.
It is a place to have fun.
Yeah.
What's a phrase that annoys you at work all the time?
A phrase that annoys me. I don't know, can I go on lunch?
What's like a ridiculous fact that you know?
Ridiculous fact. I don't know that the earth's flat.
That's true. What's the absolute worst buy one, get one free thing that would be on offer?
The absolute best would be buy a boat and get one free, but that's unachievable. Buy one, get one free. Don't know, probably a heart operation. Take one home.
Yeah. What's do you have a most useless talent?
Probably my surfing.
Not going, just stick to boats.
Yeah.
What would you choose to have an unlimited supply of for the rest of your life?
Money for sure. That buys boats.
Fair enough.
Doesn't just buy them, then you can actually afford to run them.
That's true. What's something you're really bad at doing but love doing it anyway?
Probably surfing. I was good when I was younger.
Good thing.
But now I'm just too fat.
Yeah, fair enough.
It gets harder.
Oh, we get older.
Yeah.
All right, Todd. So that was amazing. Like, it's always good chatting to you.
I was pretty horrible at that last part.
No,
apologies for that.
It's good. How can people find you, and what do you really want people to know about you and what you guys do?
Yeah, you can reach out to us through our website or check out our social media and obviously our YouTube that Stevie's put together for us. But yeah, I just want people to know that you can come to us for kind of whatever you need for your boating. We can sort it, whether it's slip clean anti-fouls or resprays or even just a bit of advice. Reach out anytime. Awesome. Happy to help. And any young guys in the industry that want to get in, we need more of you. Get into the marine industry. It's such a good industry, and it can take you to so many different places.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's I guess wrapping up, one last piece of advice that you'd like for listeners to know, something valuable that you think that's helped you or that you could share.
Just talking to people, get involved, come down, show you're keen, get involved, reach out to as many people as you can, and just get into the industry one way or another. There's so many people out there to help you do that, and the BIA and the MIA and Australian Commercial Marine Group, get in touch with any of those guys, and there's so many people willing to help. So just take that first step and it can take you a long way.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Words
of wisdom.
Thanks for having me.
That was awesome. That's all for today. Make sure you guys subscribe. Lots more good stuff coming. And if you know of somebody as awesome as Todd that you'd love to hear their story, definitely let us know. Till next time.
Cheers.
Yeah.